Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about what I think is personally missing from most barbell-based programs, minimalist programs. Because they're still popular, and that minimalism always comes back up when people are like, "But you promoted minimalism in the past." Yeah, but I've also told you guys you probably need some arm work and stuff in there. But realistically, when you start looking at any of these basic programs, what are most of them lacking? It's usually arm work and calf work. If someone wanted a balanced physique. All right, and this is the issue with, a lot of this programming, and people keep getting hung up in this silly idea that they can separate size and strength, and they'll point out, well, guys who do this type of training over here, they don't look great, or they don't look as big. No, they look just as big, just fine. Their chest and back and thighs are just as big as a bodybuilder who's usually trained about the same amount of time, same effort, right? Same body weight. Stuff's all about the same. What are they usually lacking? Usually lacking arms and calves. And I would go so far as to say that that's really what would shore most of these things up. So if, let's say you're running a program based on squat, bench, deadlift, and some sort of back exercise. And I mean, I've put out some programs based on that, some linear stuff over the years. What would you probably need to fill in the gaps? And I'm assuming you're doing a row or a pull-up in there. People who are doing chin-ups may not need to worry as much about the bicep. I think they probably should, because here's the thing. You'd never see anyone talk about being disproportionately developed the other way. I have seen lifters out there who I know from a coach have probably just done excessive bicep work and have really neglected, they say, their back and chest and stuff a little bit. To be honest, they actually have. And I catch that as a coach, but most people will never see that. All they think is, oh, it's a guy with big arms. It's a pretty jacked guy with really big arms. They don't understand that it's very disproportionate. By that same token, when you're disproportionate the other way and you haven't done much really direct arm work, people will notice. They'll notice that disproportion, particularly if things like your chest or your back are really big. Okay? Example, me. All right, I kind of fall in that category because I haven't done enough arm work through certain years, and I'm biased towards being bigger in the chest and back area, just genetically and structurally. Okay, so that's what ends up happening. So what are your solutions there? Just start training those things early on. And it doesn't take that much time to do some calves at the end of your other work. All right? I mean, even for me, I like to do abs or low back work or whatever while I'm doing calves. It is extremely easy to just work in 5 sets for your calves on your lower body days. And what about, novices who are doing full body programs? They can throw some calves in at the end. Really 2 or 3 sets for calves, a couple sets of curls, would go a long way. Some tricep work is never a bad thing, particularly if bench press is your primary interior side exercise, interior meaning the front part. Like if you're just bench pressing, some tricep work is probably not a bad idea, or at the very least some pullovers, something to work that long head. And I don't think a pullover is a bad exercise in that case. If you're doing a lot of benching, you may not need an extension per se. You could probably get away with that, but should you try? I mean, is it worth it? You just do a couple sets of extensions. And that's the other thing. When it comes to some of that stuff, let's say you're going to do pullovers or curls or extensions and curls, you can just superset them with each other. You can superset those with each other. And a person could come in and squat, bench, deadlift. Right? They could squat, bench, deadlift, and they come in and superset pullovers with curls and calves. It's a big tricep. You know how fast you could do 4 or 5 sets of those? I mean, even 3 wouldn't be. Let's say they're doing full body training. They could do 3 sets of those real quick. That would actually be pretty good. I think they'd get pretty good overall development out of that. All right? Well, they'd come in, they could squat, bench, and then deadlift, and just do a tricep. Right? That would be workable. I almost feel like Ice Cream Fitness 3.0 is about to come out of this. All right? I almost feel like we should be thinking about that. But no, I mean, seriously, how easy would that be to do, even on a full body program? It would be extremely easy, and it just wouldn't take any real time, because it's not like you're going crazy heavy on any of that stuff. Do you know the biggest downside I have to that is watching untrained novice 19-year-old boys try to do curls. It's freaking scary. That's the only problem. Watch them try to do a curl. Like, if they knew how to do a curl correctly, and I don't even want to put them on a preacher bench, my God. I'm talking about just ripping biceps off the bone. I know people personally who've torn biceps on the preacher bench. I'm talking advanced lifters. There have been some influencers out there who you guys know of who've been in my circles who've had to have biceps repaired due to preacher benches. So that's the last thing I want to put one of these kids on. They don't have any sense. And I would say that's the biggest problem with adding curls to any of this sort of program. They do not know how to perform a curl, right? They're going to skip the bottom of the lift, never going to lock the elbows out. They're going to cheat it up, and they're going to go almost into a rack position at the top, right? They're going to have no bicep tension at the top because they're going to do a wrist curl and then curl it all the way up to their chin, and their thumb will barely be holding onto the weight. And they're just going to cheat it up, and they're never going to actually do the bottom of the curl. They have the elbows bent. And we see this all the time, and it's like, why don't you just do an overhead press? All right, if you'll work the same muscles, just do an overhead press. Why are you trying to do a curl to work the delts that way? I see it all the time. You see it on social media. That's actually the biggest deterrent to putting a curl in any sort of novice barbell program. They don't know how to do a curl. They have no idea what the bicep actually does. You know, now if you could teach them to do a curl correctly, it might be okay. Might be okay in that case. Maybe. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.